It's February 27th, and the strange side of history awaits. Today, we have flames that consumed more than a building, a river that almost erased a former president, and ordinary citizens pushing back against a regime tightening its grip. Let's begin. On February 26, 1933, flames crawled through the heart of German democracy. Just after 9 p.m., the Reichstag building, the seat in Parliament, was found ablaze. Fire lit the Berlin sky, smoke poured through the shattered glass. Inside, police arrested 24-year-old Dutch bricklayer Marinus van der Lubbe, half-blind, trembling, and carrying firelights. He claimed he acted alone, but in minutes, the story changed. Nazi leaders declared the blaze as the opening strike of a communist revolution. Hermann Göring called it the beginning of an uprising, and Adolf Hitler called it a sign. By morning, fear had replaced smoke, and on February 28, President Paul von Hindenburg signed an emergency decree. To the people, it sounded temporary, protective, and necessary. Freedom of speech and press, gone. Privacy and assembly, suspended. And police could arrest anyone without charges indefinitely. Thousands were taken in a night. Weeks later, under intimidation and armed guards, Parliament passed the Enabling Act, handing Hitler the power to rule without consent. By July, all other political parties were banned. Van der Lubbe would be executed, democracy extinguished, not by tanks, but by flames, fear, and a signature. On February 27, 1914, former U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt pushed his canoe into a river that had never been fully marked. It was called the River of Doubt. But this descent was never supposed to happen. Roosevelt had come to South America for lectures and a manageable scientific expedition with a Brazilian explorer, Candido Rondon. The early route was known waterways, supplies were packed for dignity and distance, not for desperation. Then came the decision. Rondon proposed exploring an uncharted part of the Amazon, a river whose length, course, and danger were unknown. No confirmed expedition had ever completed it. Roosevelt agreed, and in a moment, the mission changed. Their food stores were measured for a different journey, and they began to thin. Canoes splintered in violent rapids, and there would be no towns, no telegraph lines, no rescue when things went wrong. For 58 days, they fought the jungle. A crew member was killed during the descent. Another disappeared into the forest. Roosevelt tore his leg open on a rock, and infection spread. Fever weakened him, and he lost nearly 50 pounds at his lowest, urging his son Kermit to leave him behind, but he refused. The River of Doubt would later be renamed Rio Roosevelt, but before that ever happened, it nearly erased him. On February 27, 1943, in the freezing heart of Berlin, hundreds of women stepped into the street and refused to move. Days earlier, the Gestapo had launched the Factory Action, arresting the last remaining Jews in the capital. Among them were nearly 2,000 Jewish men married to non-Jewish women. They were held at Rosenstraße, a welfare office turned detention center. The regime intended silence, but instead it got voices. The wives began to gather outside the building, mothers, sisters, and children of mixed heritage. They stood shoulder to shoulder in the cold, staring at the armed SS guards. "Give us our husbands back," they shouted. The threat was clear: disperse or be shot, and they didn't move. For nearly a week, they returned each day. The war was turning after Stalingrad, and the Nazi leadership feared the image of German women being gunned down on the street. On March 6th, Joseph Goebbels ordered the men released. Around 1,700 walked free. In that brief, extraordinary moment, love proved louder than terror. Another day, another strange bite from history. Like, comment, and subscribe. Your next eerie dose is just a day away.